Hello, everybody, and welcome. I've got the guests awaiting to come onto the show. They're in the green room. Welcome to Monkey Mind Relaxation. I am your host, Cuddy Cudworth, part of the men's radio station. Please like and subscribe. We are now live officially on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Like and subscribe. Spread the word about not only the Monkey Mind Relaxation Show, but also the Meanings of Life, which I co-host with Graham next week and the weeks after. It's about getting the word out. We've got two fantastic chats to have, but we've got a week in review to be talking about. There's a lot being going on. So I'm checking in with everybody. How is everybody? And I'm probably speaking a little bit more to the Scottish people. How has everybody coped and survived with the 2 days of hot weather? How was it for everybody? It was 2 days of drama. What a surprise. There was lots of news stories about stay away from the sun for 2 days. But it was absolutely roasted. So welcome to the show. I am part of the men's radio station team. My name is Cuddy Cudworth, the host of Monkey Mind Relaxation. I am the UK's leading mind management coach. And I help people with their mind management, mindsets, and mental health. I have a fantastic Facebook group called Monkey Mind Relaxation, of which you are more than welcome to join. We do live and free meditation every week for everybody. If you want to come and chip in, come and say hi and ask us any questions. Now, today, two fabulous guests going to be coming your way very, very shortly, talking about two different spectrums. Spectrums, is that even the right word? I'm not 100% sure if that is the right word. However, we're going to be talking about the health of the gentleman with John Drysdale coming up very, very shortly. We're going to be talking about checking up on prostate health and care for the men. Then we've got our second guest coming in, who's going to be a great speaker today for Rich Hilton. And he's going to be talking about his experiences from leaving the services to how he created resilient defense, and he helps veterans and ex-service people who have been leaving. And I'm not going to say too much about it because Rich is going to tell you absolutely everything about himself coming up. But what a week we've had. Say hi if you are live with us in the comments. You are more than welcome to join in at any time through this. Let us know where you are. We always got quite a few people joining in from Scotland and around the world. Welcome to this show. Going to be my pleasure as always. I'm looking out now, and I'm looking out too. So I am in Scotland. I do mention this quite a lot because it's such a beautiful part of the world. But after the 2 days of bright sunshine and hot weather, I'm now looking out to a grey, slightly blue sky, and there was already a cold breeze. It's still July, getting closer to August, and there was a bit of a cool breeze. So what I wanted to talk about, I've been working a lot with clients recently, and it's one of those things that just keeps popping up constantly. And I thought, if I can share this and hopefully get the message out to anyone that's listening, to anyone that's tuning into the podcast, listening to the radio show, it's one of the most important things I want to say. And I'm absolutely passionate about getting this message out to absolutely everyone. It's the most common thing that is said to me when I'm working with clients, when people are working with me, and it's like, I feel like I'm broken, or I need fixing. So I wanted to put out a massive, massive reminder to absolutely everybody that is struggling right now, or maybe just thinking, what is going on with my monkey mind? That internal chatter, those conversations that we have with ourselves that can drive us absolutely round the bend. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. It's such an important thing. But if you ask yourself, your brain is wired to answer your questions. So if you ask the question, what's wrong with me? Your brain might answer, you could be broken. That's just one of those intrusive thoughts that pops in, but you start believing the hype that's going on. Well, am I broken? No, we just have misaligned thoughts. So please, when you ask the question, if one of those answers pops up, I feel like I'm broken, or I feel like I'm fixing, or if somebody says to you in passing, you're broken. Oh, I think you need fixing. You need to go and see somebody. It's not about being broken or getting fixed in any way whatsoever. It's about understanding those thought processes that we have, how scary they can be. And honestly, at this moment in time, pretty much, I will be very honest, my clients 50-50, men and women. and they're all coming in. Our monkey mind starts making our worlds go topsy-turvy, just upside down, all around with these conversations that we have, and we start believing the accusations that we start creating in our mind, and they come and they arise from our past experiences, and we start thinking because it's happened in the past, it's going to happen again. And even some of the horrible things that we've had happen in the past, it doesn't mean to say that they're going to happen again. But our little monkey mind, our little fear monger, all the way up in here with those conversations, we say, but it's happened before. It could happen again. And I totally understand that. And for all the people that I've been working with and all the people that are listening to this show, we understand. We completely understand those conversations. And a lot of the times I will have a lot of people, and I've worked with people with trauma, and I've actually worked with people coming out of the armed forces as well, which Rich is going to be a great component to talk about, is because something has happened in the past, we start creating the link and the meaning that it's going to happen again, and we start looking for those links. And that's what starts causing that confusion within ourselves. So I just wanted to spread that message out. If that's the first message I can share with absolutely everybody, is you are not broken. You don't need fixing. And the amount of times you say, you can start keep repeating, oh, I just feel like I'm broken. I feel like I'm fixing. No, that's not the case in any way. And I am the biggest component of saying, what if you don't need therapy? What if you just need better mind management? Change your thoughts, change your life. That's what it's all about. Anyway, that's my opening monologue. That's my opening speech to absolutely everybody, is just to remind you that you are not broken. You do not need fixing. However, we are going to get into the show, and we're going to bring on one of our first guests. Not one of our first guests, the first guest. That was very badly worded. And as always, I like to get my little notepad so I can start asking questions in the moment as well. Now, as a firm friend of mine, and he told me a story. I was at a meeting, one of the fabulous networking groups that I go to, and I was in a meeting, and he started telling the story of some of the struggles that he's had. And as I'm 45 and I'm coming into that, I'd never even thought about it. So we're going to have a very open and frank conversation about prostate cancer. All right. So let's welcome into the guest, Sina. If you do not mind, we're going to have a big old conversation with John Drysdale from noguru.net. He's specialized in learning development, and he's going to be helping us talking about our prostates. John, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, Cuddy. Thanks for having me on the show.
What a lovely... See, I live in Scotland, but I'm not actually Scottish, whereas you've clearly got a lovely Scottish accent. That's fantastic. John, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the prostate health checks and all the things that went on and the celebratory message that you had yesterday, which is fantastic. But John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I run my own training and coaching consultancy. So I work mainly in the higher education sector with the staff, and work with executives and teams. So I do a lot of coaching, training, facilitation, helping teams and people be the best they can be, actually. And alongside to that is I do some business coaching as well. So some of my clients run their own business, and we're trying to help them be successful in what they do and attract the sorts of clients they want to work with. So that's my sort of what I do. I'm based in a village called Craigrothy in beautiful Fife. Yes,
just up the road. It's just up the road.
And my wife and I, we moved into what used to be a pub. So that's our hobby at the moment, is we're converting a pub into a place that we can live and work. So that's taken up a lot of our thoughts and energies.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, John, that's great. Now, John, you're here to talk about prostate health, prostate checkups. Like I said in the intro to the conversation, I heard your story, and I've had a prostate check years ago, but I think it was for something different, to be honest with you. Okay. And we'll talk about the experience of it. But John, talk us through your experience and the journey you've gone through.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I'm quite blessed, Cuddy. I think I've very rarely been in hospital. I've very rarely had any sorts of issues. And about 3 years ago, I was based in Liverpool at the time. Been in Liverpool since 2001. And I was starting to recognise a few symptoms. And I thought, is this an age thing? Or is there something going on? So it's to do with the waterworks, and I was driving back from from Leeds University or Leeds Beckett University where I was working, and by the time I got home to my apartment, I was really needing to go to the bathroom, and quite urgently. So I started to get that explored, and go through various procedures and tests, and they check all sorts of things like bladder cancer and use cameras and all sorts of things, and nothing showed up really. But they did take a blood test at the time, and they checked what's called my PSA, which is this prostate specific antigen. And it's an antigen that's produced by the prostate, and it's produced in quantities when there's cancer present. Cancer can be produce extra PSA. There's other things that can produce PSA as well, but what they do is they measure your PSA count, and it was sort of like on the cusp of being worrisome. And they said at the time, well, just check yourself. I get it checked every 6 months, I think it was 6 months. And of course, then COVID hit, and I hadn't really been checking it. And as it happened, we moved back to Scotland. So one of the first things you do is check in with your GP, isn't it? You sort of sign up with a GP. And I asked them for the PSA test, and they seemed a little bit surprised by that. And said, well, have you been asked to get one? And I said, well, kind of. It's been suggested. So I had the PSA count when we moved to Linlithgow, when we first came up to Scotland, and the count had gone up. So I'd gone up, I think I was in the sort of realms of between 3 and 4, and it had gone up to between 7 and 8 in those intervening years. So they investigated that. I had an MRI scan, which did show there was something showing on the MRI image. And at that time, I also had a biopsy. So they suggested there's something there. Let's have a biopsy. So they did something called a transrectal biopsy, which you can imagine where that goes.
Was that down your throat?
No.
I had to, John. I'm sorry, but I had to. All right.
Slightly uncomfortable procedure, and you're awake, but it's, I've had worse, I suppose. And that came back negative. So they take samples out of the prostate, and came back negative. So, okay, fair enough. We're all happy with that. And then we found this place in near Cooper and Fife. And so we registered again with the doctor, and went through the same thing. So this is another 6 or 7 months after the previous. And I said, can I have a blood test just to check that again? And it had gone up again. So I'd gone up to 9.4, which isn't, in the great scheme of things, it's not hugely high. I've heard of guys having really high scores, but it's sort of on the cusp. Like 10 is where they start to think, we need to take some action on it. So they suggested a different biopsy called a transperineal, where they go in underneath the scrotum. But they knock you out for that one, thankfully. That was the blessing in that one. And that came back, and they took 36 samples, and there's a left and a right-hand side of the prostate. And the right-hand side was fine, and then the left-hand side, 6 of the 18 samples showed cancerous cells. So that's when we discovered that I had prostate cancer. So that was kind of how I got to that. So I suppose it was a series of, I suppose some of it's by chance. That's a kind of scary thing. It's kind of, just through the chance of moving and then getting registered again for a GP and asking for a test again, and sort of remembering to do it. And so I think I've been quite lucky in that regard, which is why I'm sort of talking and being quite open with guys about it and what they can do.
And so you actually didn't actually have that many symptoms apart from, because I'm actually still not aware of what the symptoms are that you might have prostate cancer.
Yeah. So, and they're not exclusive to prostate cancer. But it could be other things. So it's urgency to have a pee. It's maybe where you don't have like a strong flow, or you're straining to get rid of it. Getting up in the middle of the night frequently, I was finding that as well, and that feeling of not completely feeling empty. Once you've been for a pee, that that you still feel you haven't emptied it all. But they're also common to other things. So, I mean, what they what they discovered, I've got an enlarged prostate, which is really, really common in guys in their 50s. So the prostate tends to enlarge. I think it's about the size of a walnut, but it gets bigger, and it sits next to the bladder and around the urethra. So what it does, it's kind of squeezing on all that. So you can imagine how that makes you feel like you want to go to the bathroom. So it's not exclusive to prostate cancer. So this is what makes it really, really difficult, to detect early. It's the symptoms are mixed up with other things as well. So it could be just a benign prostate enlargement, which I've got as well. So, and there's ways to treat that. So it's not easy to spot the symptoms in those sort of early stages, certainly.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of gentlemen, if they've been in and said, "Oh, actually, you've not really got a problem," but check on it. I've seen most people. I'm thinking about your story. I'm like, if a doctor said, "Yeah, I've checked you, you're fine. Keep an eye on it," I probably wouldn't, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And I think I suppose that's what I don't know if it's surprised me about myself is that I have kind of kept on it. I did sort of bear it in mind, and it was kind of bothering me that I hadn't been to get it checked up. And I guess I was looking to see if there's that sort of gradual rise in the count. The thing about the PSA test is quite controversial because it's not wholly accurate. So there's a number of things which could cause an inflated PSA result. So it's not a definite indicator that you've got cancer, but it was certainly enough for me seeing that trend to then get other tests and other biopsies to then establish, well, yeah, there is something happening there. So I think it's better than nothing, and it's there. And you can ask for one. So in the absence of anything else at the moment, I know there's work going on all the time to find new tests and new ways of doing it, but we don't have a national screening program for men for prostate cancer.
But for ladies, they do have a national screening. Right. Oh, wow, that's fascinating, actually.
It is. It's the second biggest cancer killer. I think lung cancer is number one, and prostate's second.
For men.
For men, yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to remember the conversations that we had. It's one of the most easily resolved if caught quick enough. Is that correct? I'm
not a medical expert. I can only talk from my own experience, but it would appear to be if they catch it early enough, as in my case, they can treat it. So there is, when they do the biopsy in your prostate and say there are cancer cells there, they do something called the Gleason scale. They give you a Gleason score, and the Gleason score is the sort of the highest number of cells that they find. So they give that a score. So it's the most common number. So they're rated on a scale from 1 to 5. So 1 and 2 are kind of like normal cells, so don't really worry about that. 3, 4, and 5 are kind of cancer cells. So 5 is the highest. So I'm a +3, which means that the most common set of cells were a 3, and then the highest after that was also a 3. So there wasn't anything higher than a 3, basically, in the cells that they found. And then they give you sort of grade group. I'm grade group 1, which is the lowest level. And what that says is that the cells will grow slowly, if at all. Yeah. So again, depending on what score you get. So if you get say you're a grade group 5, so your Gleason level might be a 5 and a 4 or a 5 and a 5. That means the cells are likely to grow really quickly. So it's a lot more urgent. So mine's slow growth cells, if they're going to grow at all, and the consultants kind of kicked it around. So they have these panels, don't they? They decide what to do about it. And in my case, they decided it was better at my age to go in and deal with it rather than leave it. So there's various things they can do, like things called active surveillance and watchful waiting, which is kind of keep testing, you keep an eye on it. I think I was on the cusp of that just from the conversations I had, but then they came back and said, look, we recommend that you do something with this. You're young enough to kind of get this dealt with, and that was a path we went then.
But thank you, honestly, thank you very much for sharing. So the whole premise of the show Monkey Mind Relaxation is the conversations that we have with ourselves. That's the premise of Monkey Mind Relaxation. So when you're in a fearful state such as that, how was the conversations with yourself, John? How was that, if you don't mind my asking?
I hadn't really thought about that. I suppose I should have done coming on this show. It's been commented that I've been really calm and resilient about it. I think I knew there was something going on, Cuddy. I was kind of, when they give you the news, yeah, it's cancer, you think it's going to be this big dramatic kind of moment. For me, it wasn't. I was kind of expecting the news. Once you've been for 2 biopsies, you're going to say, you kind of think, well, maybe there's something there. So I was expecting it, and I'd already immersed myself in the kind of prostate cancer UK group. I'd done some running. I'm a keen runner when I'm at my best, and just after I was diagnosed, I did 50 miles in October to raise awareness. I think we raised just under £2,000 as well. So I started to do things like that. And then as things have progressed, and during my treatment phase, I would go on Facebook and put videos up, just the key points, after I've done, the first treatment, 5 treatments, 10 treatments, so on.
Wow.
And I would just do a little video just explaining what was happening, and, take pictures of the radiotherapy machine and to tell people about it. And the message was for guys to go and get checked.
Yeah.
And that kind of, so I was into that mindset already about how can I make the best use of this, and maybe there's something I can do. So I think having that feeling of control, of having some kind of purpose was kind of what kept me going. I think I very seldom felt sorry for myself. I felt lucky actually, because
wow.
I have met a few guys that are had much further advanced, on the Gleason scale I explained, much further advanced cancers up in Dundee. So I felt really fortunate. So I was able to sort of frame it in that way. So yeah, 2 things: feeling fortunate about the diagnosis, but also finding something to do with it was really key for me.
Wow. There's a powerful message right there, John, which is that's a powerful message for anyone that's listening. And I think you should share the news, because it's all right. We've said the sad story, the troubles and the strife. And look, when it comes to prostate cancer, for anyone that's listening, especially when it's the guys and things like that, there's always, look, I'll even tell that the prostate exam that I had was exactly how I'd heard comedians talk about it, which was bend over, knees to your chest, suck your thumb, just think about something else, and well, there's the finger. That was the whole premise. There was a little bit of a rummage around, and I was like, oh, that's awkward. Couldn't look at the doctor in his eyes after. I felt like it was just weird for both of us.
Yeah, I've got so many stories over the last few years of such things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was awkward. But the doctors, I don't know how they do it with a straight face, because they're just like, just whatever. I've got another 14 of these to do. Just get over and done with. And then I think what made it really uncomfortable was the slap on the arse just when he'd finished. Pull your pants up. I was like, all right, I'm just kidding. The doctor never did that.
That's too much information, really, isn't it?
But it was, yeah, no, there's nothing enlarged there. Absolutely not a problem. That's not what it is. It must be something else. Fantastic. Perfect. But it is weird. It is a weird conversation to have. So the fact that you're on the note, brilliant.
It's embarrassing, there's no doubt about it. And I think the message I'd really like to get across, Cuddy, is don't die of embarrassment. It's embarrassing. It's a little bit uncomfortable. But these guys have seen it all before, it's not embarrassing for them in the slightest. No. It's what they do. And we have to get over it. I think men have to get over themselves. I mean, far too many stories of guys who haven't gone. And then they've discovered the PSA counts through the roof, and then they've got one of those more advanced ratings, cancer ratings I was talking about, and dying of it as well. So a friend of mine, her brother-in-law, died at the age of 58. And I'd kind of delayed going to the doctor, and then when he'd gone, it was kind of advanced, So that's kind of my message is.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, look, John, that's amazing. Is there anything else you would like to share with our lovely viewers?
I didn't answer your question about the good news.
Oh, that was it. Yes, the good news. Tell them the good news.
Yeah, so I had radiotherapy from about April to May. That was really interesting. Up at the fabulous Ninewells Hospital in Dundee, and our NHS staff are just amazing, aren't they? So I had radiotherapy, bit of side effects, really tiring. So that was, it was a couple of difficult moments there. But yesterday was my follow-up consultation. I couldn't go because I tested COVID over the weekend, so I had to cancel the physical appointment. But the oncologist rang me yesterday to say they'd taken the blood test a couple of weeks ago, and the PSA levels, I'm a 0.2. And given I was a 9.4, it's 0.2. She says barely measurable on the machine they use to record it. So it looks like the radiotherapist done its job. So it's kind of eliminated the cancer that's there. So that was a nice phone call to get at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. That's
lovely. That is amazing. So that's just phenomenal. And for anyone that is listening, you look, shame does pop up. The embarrassment does pop up. And I think you worded it absolutely fantastic when you said, don't let the fear of embarrassment cause death, because that's what it is. It'll kill you. It's the silliest things that we do. It really is.
And if anybody's worried about it, I'd happy to have a chat with anyone about it.
Yeah.
But go on the Prostate Cancer UK website, and there is a prostate cancer checker there. So we'll say if you are in the risk group. So basically, it's guys in their 50s if you've got a family history of it, and black men especially at a higher rate. So it's one in 8 in general terms. 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer at some time in their lives. For black men, it's 1 in 4. So Go on there and have a look at the little prostate checker. And I've been buying these little badges, the Man of Men badges.
I see the badge. Yeah.
Handing them out to people and it's been great because, John, I've gone and done the test, or I've gone to see my GP. So that's been great fun.
John, thank you very, very much for sharing. It's an important conversation to be had. It really is.
Thank you.
Rich is in the comments. He's in the private chat because Rich is in the green room waiting to come on. And he says, congratulations, John, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. John, thank you so much. I know I'm going to see you shortly, but thank you so much for sharing your story here at Men's Radio Station on Monkey Mind Relaxation.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it.
And I hope you get your are you allowed to say the name of the pub? Is it the pub on the corner of that's down the steps on the?
It is indeed.
On the corner, isn't it? I don't know where you live.
You know it, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be cycling past. I've got another strongman competition coming up in 3 weeks, and I'm back on the mountain bike, so I'm going to cycle past your house.
Pop in, yeah. But we didn't close it, by the way. It was already closed as a
right.
So
okay.
Just to make that clear.
Thank you very much, John. Much appreciated, and you have a fantastic time. We'll see you later, John. Thanks a lot, Sina. Take him out.
Bye.
Bye, John. A fascinating story. I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Very much appreciated. We're going to move swiftly on to our next, I was going to say contestant, certainly not a contestant, but our next guest here on Monkey Mind Relaxation. Sina, let's bring him in. Where is Rich Hilton? Rich Hilton has a fancy mansion, ladies and gentlemen. If that's not the fanciest baby grand piano in the background, I do not know what it is.
Cheers, Kelly. You're welcome to visit anytime.
Absolutely. You were listening to the conversation with John, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we go any further, Rich, what age bracket are you? Should you be having the test as well, Rich?
I could well do instead of dying of embarrassment.
It is not like I said in the conversation. It is. Of course, it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's embarrassing. Like you said, you won't die of embarrassment.
Yeah, an uncle of mine it must be about 3-5 years ago now. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and that was him gone.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think John was saying, or he had said in conversation, it's one of the quickest ones to get to once it's been found. Once it's been found, they can resolve it. It's about finding it quick enough. So that's amazing. So, Rich, welcome to the show, Monkey Mind Relaxation. Mental resilience, Rich. Mental resilience. But first of all, let's have an introduction. Rich, how are you? Who are you? And why are you here?
Well, that's a deep question, Cuddy. Who am I? So why am I here? Why am I here really is just to talk about what I've gone through and how I can help people resolve their problems. It's not about me making them resolve their problem. It's about facilitating how they can resolve them themselves. As you said before all of this, nobody's broken. And just need some alterations in how we think and how we behave to facilitate all that and develop better ways of thinking, better choices with ourselves to lead on towards better way of living, really.
So Rich, you are I read your story, I went onto your website and everything. It's mental resilience for you do niche a little bit, but you are open to working with everybody. But it is, you come from the forces, so you've gone through your challenges with coming out of the forces, and you help others with the force, ex-service people. I think I put ex-servicemen, but I'm like, no, it's servicemen and women. So ex-service people. Is that correct, Rich?
Yeah, that's correct. And it also first response to those, because that's a very kind of niche and tight-knit group as well. To work with them. So the idea is that, resilient defense, the idea behind that is to give people on a certain level is physical skills and knowledge on how organizations and companies can stay compliant with health and safety for self-defense, conflict management. And so they can look after their staff properly instead of them getting sued for non-training and all that sort of stuff for their staff, really. And help them with that. And then on the other side of it comes in the mental stuff, where if somebody has a bad situation in, say, a workplace, then come along and just help them with all that, to help them resolve that issue with themselves, how to ways and skills that I can just show them with simple techniques, again, that helps them facilitate being able to resolve that drama within inside themselves.
Perfect. So, Rich, tell us about your journey from.
You froze a bit there, Cuddy. So, I joined up in '93, and that was in the Grenadiers. Done about 6 years in there.
I think it's frozen a little bit.
So I left and got out for about a year. Went to Australia for a bit. Came back home, and there's a letter waiting for me to go out to Kosovo if I wanted to do that. So I ended up going to Kosovo with Royal Marines and the Duke of Boots, or Duke of Wellington's regiment as they were at the time. And that was kind of me going back in then, because I didn't really know what to do with myself. So then joined the Royal Signals, stayed in there for about 12, 13 years or so. And coming out of there, again, I knew what I wanted to do, but I never actually got there because the person who was trying to help me out, he wasn't able to get me that kind of work on working offshore. So it all kind of fell through. So it's all about then me reestablishing myself, my identity. And during that time as well, just went through quite a lot of stuff that in a condensed period that most people might experience in a lifetime. So I had an ill mother, my flat was repossessed, that sort of stuff. And there was no actual support out there, or very little support. And so it just went in a massive downward spiral.
Obviously.
So just basically drinking a hell of a lot, trying to find work, drink a lot more, trying to find work, drink a lot more and trying to find work, because that was the only solution I really had. And then it was kind of discovering NLP, or rediscovering, I should say, when I was a bit more stable in another job. And that's kind of helped me get through where I am today. And I'd say it's taken about, good 8 years for me to get from that point up to where I am now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I know when I'm working and talking with fellow coaches, we always come from a place of experience. And that's something that I think matters a lot to the people that they're working with. They need to understand that we've been through something similar. And that's a really, really cool part of what you're talking about, and things that you do come from a place. And you talk about that downward spiral, and those downward spirals happen more and more. They're happening more and more with a lot of people these days. So I always come from a place of monkey mind. That's the way I understood it. It's an old Buddhist teaching that I learned from the Chimp Paradox, which was, I'm looking at the book's still up there, by Dr. Steve Peters. So the conversations that we have. So those conversations are what's creating those meanings. So Rich, when you were, because it sounds like you've had your battles with alcohol as well. So for you to be that glowing story of which you will be to the people that you get the chance to work with, and to anyone that's listening, how do they know? How did you know, or what was your defining moment that, do you know what? Enough's enough. This is just not right. This is not where I want to be. And when did you start, pulling yourself out of that hole on a rope to get yourself? What was the defining moment for you, Rich?
I don't think there was actual one defining moment. It was just a series of little and small steps. So, funny enough, I was watching a guy on YouTube. He was a Buddhist monk over in Australia, but I do believe he was actually from Birmingham.
Right. Nice.
So I was watching a lot of his videos and all that sort of stuff. So that really helped massively. And it's a case of going, do you mind swearing on this show?
It's fine. It's okay. Yeah.
And it's a case of what the fuck are you doing now?
Yeah.
Get a grip yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you have anybody else around you that said, my defining moment was my wife. My wife said to me, whatever you're going through, it's starting to affect me. Now, in that moment, I was like, screw you. That's the worst thing you could tell me. But it was the best thing she ever said. So did you have people around you that said, what are you doing? Or was it the defining moment for yourself, Rich?
I had nobody.
Right.
And it was up to me really to pull myself out of it. Perfect. I did have somebody come round from Safa at one point, and they've all changed their processes and their people now. And he basically threw a card at me, said, I've got more important people to deal with, or there's more people who are more severe cases than what you are. They're homeless and all that. So here's my card. Call me if you want. Goodbye. Yeah.
Oh, that one stings. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, Rich, let's talk about your company and your business, because we've seen the story where you are.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone that's listening, we hear the bad stuff. Now we need to talk, where are you now, and the help and assistance that Mental Resilience and your book, you can talk about your book as well, gets people from where you've been to where they want to be. Rich, tell us about that.
It can be just listen to what their story is if they want to talk about that. And then it can be a very, very gradual process with getting them to build a very well-defined program as to what they want to be, say, within 6 months' time, and how then, with that compelling goal, is how then can build them up little stage by stage by stage by stage to get up to that pinnacle. And then when they've achieved that pinnacle, they would need me less and less, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe in 6 months' time, they'll come back and go, right, can you help me with this? And then it's another little bit we can help with and help them resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And talk to me about the book. Is it Whispers on Windermere?
Whispers over Windermere.
Over Windermere. There
over
it is.
Windermere, yeah. It's on Amazon, funny enough.
Yeah.
Would you like me to read a couple of nights for you?
If that's what you want to do, absolutely. Right. The time is yours.
Yeah. So this one's called Hills. these wandering hills, the rivers so deep, paths cut by a glacier's weight, wild forests and animals hidden, simmering sun and sky so blue. At the boundary of the unknown, I wait for you. For I have ventured and been into those wild woods. For now you return, and it is time for you to come and tell your story. Express yourself for all to hear. Worn and weary, I break your fall, guiding you to the fire. You tell of strange animals and crawling things. They enter your mind and shatter your dreams. You tell of conquests and bravely conquer. These stories you tell make us all stronger, slaying the beast and defeating the foe. Days were long and nights of fright. You made it back a champion of your birthright. Rest now before we head back home. Soon again we venture into the unknown.
And the smile on your face as you read an excerpt from your book, Rich, is absolutely fantastic. So I have some questions.
Go on then.
When you say slaying the beast, what do you mean? When you're slaying the beast, what do you mean?
Well, I'm going with Mike Mandel on this. Is he says never explain a metaphor. Simply because
Mike Mandel is a hypnotist, right?
Yeah.
Mike, I've seen
he's
him.
a hypnotist.
He does cards. He does cards, playing cards for hypnotherapy.
He does, hypnotist cards and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Don't explain the metaphor,
because people will make it out of it of what they want. So something would be relevant to somebody else, and something would be relevant to somebody else, and I explain it, and they go, "Well, that's a load of rubbish. That doesn't mean that to me." So I'm taking a cop out on that, Cuddy.
Not a problem at all, Rich. Not a problem at all. So when it comes to your business, the mental resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone that's listening right now, they're just going to go, well, I don't know what slaying the beast is, Rich, because you're not going to explain the metaphor to me. So, Rich, explain some mental resilience and how it's helped you.
How it's helped is, I think, doing all that training through the forces and just getting, doing the PT and doing all that kind of hard stuff has really helped quite significantly.
Yeah.
And then it's going on to study things like a bit of breath work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did do the Wim Hof method, but I find that too much adrenalizing. So I don't know it too well, but the Buteyko method.
The what method?
Buteyko, I think it's called. I could be wrong.
All right, Buteyko. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's just breathing in like really quietly as you can possibly can. So then you, I don't know, I can't remember the theory behind it, but it's supposed to be more beneficial to someone.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I first went on my journey about 10 years ago, I remember learning I never say it right, Pranamaya breathing, which is how we used to breathe when we were babies in the womb.
Yeah.
And I found that very cleansing and very clearing and very relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
You just said the Buteyko method. Now, I've done the Wim Hof.
Yeah.
But after about level 4, I'm like, I can't do this. I haven't got the time to do this. So I'm sure it's something that you do, Rich. I know we follow each other on social media. I love cold water therapy. I love cold dipping. I got into cold dipping at the start of the lockdown.
Yeah.
Because you basically, I just remember at the start of lockdown, you were constantly told you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Of course, people's mental health's going to go mental. Because if you don't have the mental resilience or the mental understanding, it's all right if people say you can't do things. Instead of just staying there, you have to go and look, well, what can I do? And a lot of people, I know that simple little mindset triggers a lot of people won't know. So I was like, well, I can't do this and I can't do this. I can still cycle and I can still go to the beach because we're lucky. I live in Leven, so I can go for a little dip in the water. So I started doing it every day in the winter, and then the winter came, and in Scotland it got quite cold, so we got the ice on the locks and things like that. So I love the cold water therapy. Do you do that, Rich?
I have done it, yeah.
I
have done it, yeah. Not for a while.
Right. And how did you find it?
A because with Wim Hof, he's like go in the shower for like 10 minutes. Obviously, initially you start off on a small bit of time. Yeah, I find it beneficial, but then it goes, stay in the shower for 10, 20, 30 minutes. I'm just bored of this now. Yeah,
I still don't like a cold shower.
No.
I'm like, nah, I'm not doing a cold shower. I need a warm shower so I can get the cold water down at the sea.
Yeah, I suggested to a friend of mine. Have you heard of a Scottish shower?
Now, is this something we should be discussing, or are we allowed to talk about this in a family area?
So
a Scottish shower.
So roughly it is, or works out about, say, 20 seconds of warm water, 20 seconds of cold water, and you alternate the hot and the cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a Scottish shower.
I believe that's what it's called. Somebody can correct me.
Wow. That I can understand how that would be good. Absolutely. Okay. So what's one of the biggest tips for mental resilience for anyone that's listening? What is one of the biggest tips? I mean, also, coming from the place that you've come from and the people that you help now, especially the first responders, trauma is a big part.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you help people deal with the trauma? Because the trauma gets stored all the way down in our memories. It's always there. Your little monkey mind's always going to start looking for it and to make sure that you avoid it and things like that. But is there a sure fact? There's so many different ways of supposedly ours the method to clear trauma. What is it with yourself, Rich, for clearing trauma for people?
My own personal belief is the use of NLP and hypnosis.
Right.
And I strongly believe that helps people, but for some people that won't work because their belief system says, no, it won't.
Yeah.
So it might be CBT, it could be seeing a psychiatrist, or it might be taken under properly controlled.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Go on then. Where am I going with that?
You must be going psychedelics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I honestly, we need more conversations, Rich. I don't even know if this is for the radio, because I've been really, really watching so many things it's something I've been fascinated about for years. And now when I say I've been fascinated about it for years, it doesn't mean to say that I'm off doing psychedelics on a weekly basis or anything like that before anybody wants to phone in. Or I don't even think people do phone in. There we go. So, yes, psychedelics. Now, do you have experience with psychedelics, Rich, that has helped you, or you're aware it helps others?
Not me personally. I've not done them myself.
Right.
But round by me, there's a guy called Dr. Ben Cease, I think his name is. And he's got an Awaken clinic. So that's under psychotherapy. People take, I believe it is MDMA, ketamine, and something else. And he has a really good success rate with people who drink heavy and some other stuff. There's also an organization called MAPS in the United States. And again, under clinical supervision, veterans and all that, those sort of personnel have been taking various psychedelics. And again, that's highly controlled. And that has, in my understanding, a very, very good success rate with helping people.
Perfect. Absolutely fantastic. I'm actually, I would love, if you've got that contact, and I know we're doing this live on the radio now, I would love a chat with your doctor friend about this. Absolutely.
He's not a friend of mine. I just find him on Twitter.
Right. I thought he was like Bob. He's on the corner on a Saturday night, and I know what he's selling. So, but he does it under. Because I would love to have a chat. I would love to have a chat with him and do a podcast with him. Because I'm still fascinated.
I'm sure he'd love to come on. As I said, I don't know this guy from Adam really. He's just some chap I've followed on social media.
Send me his link. I need his link. I'm going to have a chat with him because I think it is a conversation that we should have, especially with all the proof. I've done it under medical supervision and it really worked. Right. I'm guessing. Right. I don't know if I should have said that out loud, so I'll not say any names for that one. I'm just looking at the private chat in the background. Right. So for the private chat in the background, you can decide whether you want me to say who's done that. If not, if you keep it blank, I won't say anything. So no, because I've just been watching a documentary on Netflix about the use of psychedelics, how to change your mind and things like that. So no, that is absolutely fantastic. So Do you work with larger companies, Rich, or is it one-on-one, or is it group? How do you work? Because your website was fascinating.
So the self-defense and conflict management is
it's the self-defense and the martial arts you do now.
Yeah, a bit of that. But self-defense and martial arts are kind of two different things.
Right.
Yeah, so we won't go down that rabbit hole, if you don't mind.
Oh, I like, but you were very quick to correct me there. So sorry, Richard.
Yeah, so self-defense is kind of wanting to get away from that situation and defending yourself under legal kind of parameters. So working out that something is what you believe is reasonable proportionate force at that particular time. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Martial arts tends to be, you could say, it's more about the fighting skills.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be anything from MMA, bit of jiu-jitsu to Aikido, whatever else, depending on how far you want to stretch that narrative of martial arts. But self-defense is primarily defending yourself in that situation and just having some basic skills to get out of that situation as quickly and as effectively as possible.
Right. Okay.
And then and then the conflict management would be the side of it where you can see the lead up and the build up and then avoid that conflict in the first place. So you don't have to use all those physical skills, but those physical skills can be useful to get yourself out if things do go tits up.
Wow. And in the last 5 minutes, what can you share with us? I just like sharing tips for people that be like, well, I need to learn a little bit of self-defense from Rich Hilton is what I need to learn. So what's a quick one for us to learn, Rich?
So understand what the, what's it called? What common law is, what the law around self-defense is.
Ooh.
So, yeah. And
Pray tell.
Common law, that stretches back all the way to ancient history, and that's all on precedents. Yeah. So they look at case law and go, oh, yeah, this guy did do this and this and this. So we can basically potentially charge you with this. But for under self-defense, they looked at something, if I remember rightly, something like 20 million cases over a certain amount of period of years. And they only ever prosecuted 11 people in self-defense situations or thereabouts. It's a very, very small number because they used excessive force. So that's how safe you are in regards to defending yourself in the law. So that's fascinating. You've got my cogs going now because you said that martial arts is more the skills that you use in a fighting style, correct? Yeah.
And self-defense is clearly defending oneself in a situation.
Yeah, and there's obviously the preemptive strike as well. If somebody feels threatened, they can preemptively strike as well, legally, lawfully. So the problem with you could say the problem with martial arts is you get bombarded with so many techniques that the brain doesn't function as well as it could. Hebb's law.
Too much going on in a flight or fight response, you would kind of be like, well, what am I going to do? All right, okay.
Yeah. So the more techniques you get given, the longer it's going to get for the brain cells to respond and go, oh, well, this would be a good idea to use this or this, and then you might get punched in the face, knocked out.
Right. Yeah. So while if you're trained in 17 different martial arts and you're stood there and you see him coming to you, your brain is processing, oh, we could use judo, or I could use taekwondo, or I could use all right. And self-defense is what?
It's the simplicity of just using really basic skills and drills to get yourself away from a situation.
Ooh. Absolutely fantastic. And that is what Rich Hilton is all about with the mental resilience. Is that correct?
Yeah, simplicity is key, I think. People make up too much and mystify everything, a lot of things.
In all fairness, Rich, that's one of the things that a lot of my clients walk away and say, thank you so much for making it really easy for me to understand. The reason I say it's not that I've made it easy for you to understand. I had to make it easy for me to understand so I could do the things on myself.
And if you don't understand it easily, how's anybody else going to understand it? Who you're looking after?
I've done quite a lot of group coaching, and they used to call me the simplifier because I would give them some really, really complicated stuff, and I'm like, look, this is basically what it is. So even like for panic, I'd say, look, the easiest way we can say panic is computer, keyboard. Panic is your thoughts just hitting every one of the keyboard, and you freeze. That's literally what you're doing. It's a blue screen. So once we learn how to redirect those thoughts and not have them just press everything, which I suppose is going to be quite the same for you, is if that's with martial arts, if you've got 17 different training models for martial arts and you're going to be like, well, let's hit the keyboard with karate, judo, taekwondo, it's going to be blue screen for everyone.
Yeah, and if you've got 17 different ways of just doing one move, you're going to complete overload. Mind meltdown.
Absolutely fantastic. Rich, is there anything else you want to share with our lovely listeners today for us?
I would just like to give a big shout out to some various organisations, if that's okay.
Please do, Rich. That's what we're here for.
A bunch of guys called Operation Long Slog, and they were initially helping a lad who I served with called Dave Ainsworth, who was cancer, but now that's transformed into mental resiliency, guys going out, tabs and walks. There's a Facebook page where guys are posting where they walked and exercised and all that kind of stuff. Hidden Valley Bushcraft, down my neck of the woods, run by an amazing guy called Nick Goldsmith. He does survival, and on weekends and he gets veterans in and first responders and all that to teach them survival skills. Absolutely cracking bloke, former booty. Up near your neck of the woods is Future for Heroes and Woodland Experiences, and they use various hill walking, various outdoor activities and NLP and all that sort of stuff to help veterans and that recover from, or give them tools to help them in their recovery. Veterans in Crisis, who I'm on the crisis line with now and again.
Yeah.
And up in Stoke area is a Tri-Service and Veteran Support Centre, but that is also for first responders as well. And that's a great organisation if people can come along to that as well.
Absolutely fantastic. And thank you for sharing. Anyone else, Rich?
Icarus, that's a free therapy group. So any veterans can sign up for that and they get free therapy from some very, very skilled therapists in everything from EMDR, NLP, hypnotherapy, IEMT, and whatever else you can think of. The three-letter alphabet spaghetti kind of.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Rich, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cuddy, thank you very much for having me on. Been really much appreciated.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for joining us on Men's Radio Station. You've been live on Monkey Mind Relaxation. Keep in contact, Rich, and you have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you very much.
Awesome. You have a great time, great weekend. Cheers, Cuddy. Take care.
Cheers, Rich. Thank you so much. Cheers, Sina. Much appreciated. So welcome back. We've only got a few minutes left of Monkey Mind Relaxation. I will be back in a month's time with some more guests for you, trying to get out the information that just is about helping you, and especially live here at Men's Radio Station and at Women's Radio Station. As we said at the beginning, at the top of the show, like and subscribe and share at any point any of the shows that we have going on live at Men's Radio Station and Women's Radio Station. The information is there for you. We try to give away as much information as possible to really get people moving in that journey and the purpose and the direction that we can often find that we're lost in sometimes. It happens. We understand. We genuinely do. A lot of us that come from the place of experience understand how quickly and easily we can lose our path and our direction sometimes. And that's what it's all about, is getting back on that path of living life with the purpose and the happiness that you want. So as always, big love from Cuddy, the entire team here at Men's Radio Station, Women's Radio Station, Russ Kane, and the entire team. You make sure you're having a fabulous day. Like and subscribe, share, get into the contacts, slide into my DMs, join the Monkey Mind Facebook group. And if you want to change your thoughts, change your life, head into that Facebook group. As always, big love from Cuddy. Big love from Cena. Thank you so much to our guests today, Rich Hilton and John Drysdale. Some fascinating chats that needed to be had. Thank you very much. And I will see you next week. And I believe myself and Graham at the Meaning of Life are going to be talking about intrusive thoughts. That's right. Intrusive thoughts. We'll see you live next week. Big love from